Natalie Dormer, welcome to What Culture. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, great to be here.
Indeed. Now, the big reason you're here today is because you're playing, I'm going to get this name wrong, but it's Dr. Lexi
Tapero.
See, I can't...
She sounds like she's from Brooklyn, doesn't she, a little bit?
Dr. Lexi Tapero.
Tapero. T-P-E-R-R-O.
Right.
She's an Ansari. Maybe it's a very common surname.
That's a race in
Yes,
Mass. I know that, but I can't pronounce any of their names, so I wasn't even going to bother. But you're much more professional than I am, and you're ahead of the game.
I've learned how to say my character's name. I am that professional.
Which is good. You got that down, then you did everything else.
Yeah.
Now, it's quite a big deal in the world of video games, because Mass Effect is not only this huge franchise, but the big thing is the characters. That's what people love. That's what people talk about, like in the last trilogy, how, Commander Shepard, all those kind of things. So how was it kind of taking on a role for a character in what is a pretty big franchise?
Well, I was kind of sheltered from realising quite how huge the game is. Well, the trilogy was, and therefore the expectation of Andromeda coming out. And it was only when I started talking to my friends who are gamers that it dawned on me.
You're like, oh no, what have I done?
Huge. And I was like, oh wow. So, but then that made the experience even more fun because I realised that I was really part of something, an entire world that is really anticipated. And as you said, a whole new bunch of characters, a brand new sort of landscape, galaxy to explore. And it feels cool to be a part of that.
Have you done a video game before, or is this your first video game?
I mean, I've done the Game of Thrones video game.
Of course, yeah.
But so that doesn't, I suppose you could argue that doesn't really count because I'm playing a character that I've already created, on screen. So this was a great new whole experience to watch a character that's been created by a whole amazing creative team. And then I just come along and add the voice.
Did you get to bring anything else to it? Like, did you read in the lines and go, I don't want to say that, I'd rather say this?
No, I was a really good girl. I just did as I was told. No, but that's the fun. I like voiceover recording because, you really do have a laugh in the sound booth with, the engineer and the creative team that are in the room. And you can have a play with it and see what works. So Lexi's kind of got this kind of gruff, but sort of slightly dry humour.
Okay.
So it makes sense that a Brit's playing her.
That makes sense. And how, I imagine you can't give too much away, but how important is your character to the new Mass Effect that we go forward? Because obviously a lot of the characters appeared in Mass Effect 1, and by Mass Effect 3 you're like, oh man, I didn't realise how important these characters were going to become.
Well, Lexi's kind of imperative to the player because she is, she's basically the physician and the psychologist of the crew. And she's there to look after the mental and physical well-being of Ryder. I'm there, she's there giving advice, checking that, and then the player can choose whether they listen to that advice or not. But she's kind of present there on the Tempest ship, which the players will find out. She's kind of there to try and assist. Okay,
so there's every potential then that this could become one of those Mass Effect characters.
Are you offering me another job? Are you offering me
I'd like you to be in my cheap sci-fi rip-off of Mass Effect called, I can't think of something, like Earthland or something like that, I don't know. Also, I can't come up with a name, so we'll just call her Dr. Lexi and hope that BioWare and EA don't get mad.
Okay, great, yeah.
Yeah, you're up for that?
I'm up for that.
Okay, excellent. And how did it all come about as well? Because I imagine they must have come to you and said, would you like to play a character? What do you do then? Do you go and research the franchise? Do you just talk to your mates that play games? I mean, what happens?
No, I suppose that's why they approached me and I said, that sounds cool, that sounds like a lot of fun. But like I said to you, I didn't really realise how huge the original trilogy had been until I started telling people what I was doing. But I was just like, I've always wanted to do, I'd seen some of the early stages of the imagery of the game, and to me it's so cinematic. It's so all engulfing, encompassing, and the writing really impressed me. The detail behind the characters and the races and the history and the mythology of all the different crew members. It's worked out like something like a high production TV show. Not that I know anything about those, but the writing is so detailed and immersive that I was really impressed with it, and I thought I'd like to be a part of this.
And you must have to record a hell of a lot of dialogue, because the thing about the Mass Effect games is there's about 42 different paths you can go on. So I presume they have to go, right, can you please record the good path? And you do that, right, can you record the kind of good path? Then it's the mediocre path, then it's the bad path. I mean, that must take forever.
Yeah, when the player decides what route they're going, and you have to give the response to every single choice, and then within that every single choice. So it is it's a different skill set to I use in my my day job normally. So, but that's kind of fun because often when you're on a film or on stage, it's like, well, how would this go if the person I'm talking to answered in a different way? And that's the fun of a game like this. Is like the player controls the storyline in a way.
Yeah, it's true. Does it mean you get to kind of test your range as well? Because they're like, right, be happy, and then 2 hours later it's like, now sad, it's like be sad and now be well mad. I mean, I guess you get to do all of that, right?
Completely. And it's interesting because it's voice acting, and you don't realise sometimes as an actor how much you rely on your eyes or your face or your body to communicate something. And when you're reduced solely to your voice, you think you are feeling or communicating something, and the guys on the other side of the glass just aren't getting it. They're not feeling it. So you have to approach it differently. So sometimes you feel you're being a bit melodramatic and overdoing it, but it's trying to make it communicate in the voice. So
do you ever get any feedback like, no, Natalie, do that again? That was not right at all.
Too much. Not enough.
Too
much again.
Don't say that to me. I know what I'm doing. Get out of the booth.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I really did go in listening to them because they have more. For once, I was in a scenario when the other people know really more what I should be doing than me.
Of course, yeah. But I mean, I think between this and Game of Thrones as well, you've got potentially. I mean, obviously, I'm sure Mass Effect Andromeda will be a huge success because the other ones have been, and those characters have become iconic within sort of pop culture and stuff like that, as have the characters of Game of Thrones. So did you find that sort of surprising that you are potentially about to have these two, one kind of medieval character and one sci-fi character that very well within their genres are going to be well remembered and talked about and discussed? I mean, most people are lucky to have one, and I'm sure you'll have loads more. You may have two in completely different fields, which I find quite fascinating. Yeah,
I think I was really attracted to Mass Effect Andromeda for the same reason that I love these big epic universes that get created, and whether it's the Hunger Games or Westeros or Andromeda, it's I love that when the detail of whole worlds and mythologies and histories of peoples have been created, and God knows we all need some escapism in the current climate in the world.
Yeah, nothing's going on.
Nothing's going on out there. So it's there's a little bit of a geek still in my heart. I think that little. It's just the modern day version of sort of burying your head in Tolkien as a child or whatever. It's like create these entire other worlds.
I think that, especially something like Mass Effect, I think entirely, because it does take a lot of. There is some Tolkien in there as well, and basically what they did, they took sci-fi and they thought, well, we love sci-fi, but let's modernise it. But it still had that kind of 80s. I won't say B-movie, that's unfair, but that kind of cheesiness to it, and they knew that, they were aware of it.
Yeah.
So I guess you get to kind of dial into that. So while it's a serious character, you get to have fun with it and just play around with it a bit.
But people emotionally respond to that, like you're saying. Like there's something built in us that we respond to that kind of storytelling. And like you said, it doesn't matter what your thing is. It doesn't matter whether it's gaming or books or TV shows. You bond with these characters and you get submerged in these characters' journeys. And I mean, that's just great storytelling, whatever the medium. And that's kind of what my job is meant to be. So.
And it's kind of cool that you get to do it in so many, because you get to do it on stage, you get to do it on film/TV, and now you get to do a digital version of yourself. How is that when you see the digital character and it's kind of you, but it's not you at the same time? You're like, wait a minute, it's my voice and it's kind of me, but that's not me.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's totally weird.
Yeah.
But it's great because you have an opportunity to play roles that you wouldn't ordinarily play. Because you can look so different, move so different. I mean, I'm Blue in this.
It's like an alien.
Yeah, she's an alien, and she's got this incredible brain on her. And the Asari as a race are slightly distant. They're slightly, they're very analytical as well, but they're very wise because they're so old. Like I'm 275 years old.
It's a good run.
It's a good run. Yeah. So. It's just fun to take yourself out of that normal casting kind of box, really. Yeah,
and play a blue alien that's almost 300 years old.
Literally play.
Is it going to be weird because I imagine sometimes you're walking down the street and people recognise you, but what if they recognise you and start shouting, Dr. Lexi, and you'd be like, what?
I'm totally up for that.
You want that?
That would be very cool.
Do you think you're going to start to get confused, like which is the real me? Am I the game me, or is this me? And it's all going to become like a big confusing thing.
I've pretty, I think that's like an actor's occupational discipline. We try not to be schizophrenic.
Yeah, that must be hard though, right? Because you're playing so many different roles. Sometimes you must be like, I'm not sure which one is me anymore, because you have to continually move your brain into a different place depending on what you're doing.
You are right. If you play a character for a very long period of time, if someone calls that character's name, you do end up turning your head. But I don't think I played Lexi for enough man hours, unfortunately, to respond in the way that if people still shout,
Dr. Lexi at you.
I'm going to turn my head if you shout Cressida or Marjorie at me before. But, let's see how many of them they do.
I was going to say, you may be involved with this forever. You may get to 270, but I'm still doing these Mass Effect games. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Are you ready for I guess you probably are, because I imagine it was the same with Game of Thrones, but Mass Effect fans they're loyal and they're passionate, and I think that's why the series has been such a success. Mm-hmm. So are you ready for the kind of... the reaction to it when people find out that you're doing this, and people want to find everything about the character, they want to find everything about you, and there'll be stuff like Comic-Cons where I want to talk. You ready for all of that kind of? But I guess you kind of are, because
I'm ready for that. I think I've had good grounding in Game of Thrones and the Hunger Games for that kind of fanatical experience.
Kind of thing, yeah. What
I love is if you're you're in a coffee shop or you're in a pub or something, and someone approaches you and they're crazy about the project, a particular project, but it's like a non sequitur. They're someone you would not expect to be, that would be I'm interested in what gamers come up to me and know that I've done the game, and they just look like, I don't know, it's a 45-year-old housewife or something, and she's mad about Mass Effect Andromeda, because sometimes people surprise you about what their passions are.
Absolutely.
So, maybe it will be revealed to me a whole world of gamers that are all under the radar in their normal lives.
That's just exciting though, right?
Yeah.
Introduce you to a whole, maybe brand new people that will then find you in other stuff.
A whole new fraternity.
A whole new fraternity that can embrace you and everything. Yeah. So obviously you've done this one. Did you enjoy the experience so much that you think that kind of video game voice acting is something you want to pursue going forward?
Well, yeah, I enjoyed this experience a lot. I want to be loyal to Lexi, obviously.
Of course. I'm not saying that you should cheat on her or anything. Just a more general question than that.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
No, but like you said, I've been very lucky insofar as I managed to cross mediums still my entire career, like stage and theatre and film and TV, and now computer gaming. And I would love to keep on doing all of them, for a very long time.
Yeah.
Not 275 years.
That's a long time.
But a long time.
Although by then, because have you seen all the virtual reality stuff that you can do now, where you put a helmet on your head and you exist in the actual world as opposed to playing it on the screen?
Oh, I know. No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It truly is crazy. And actors, I think, are going to find themselves, as technology develops, the way you can interact is going to, it's going to blow our minds, I'm sure.
Because the other thing is, well, they want to do it with TV, so you don't just watch the TV, you put it on and you are in Westeros, for example, and you're just there talking to them, and a lot of people may start to think they actually know you and that you're your friend, and then when they see you on the street, they'll come up and be like, all right, buddy, and you'll be like, what are you talking about? Does it really?
That happens
you get a lot of hey buddies.
People think they know you because they know your character. Yeah.
And then they ask you really strange questions about, I imagine, things you've ddone on the TV, and you have to try and desperately remember.
No, it's true. But no, I mean, as an audience member, I'm excited about that, or those full immersive worlds.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
And it means you're engaging people as well. If they're that passionate about it and they're coming up to you and talking about these things, it probably means you're doing all right.
I think so.
I would think so.
Let's see.
Okay, excellent. Natalie Dormer, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much.